Hello, I'm William Brougham and welcome to the Cruising Yacht Club here in Rushcutters Bay, Australia. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it magnificent? Isn't it majestic? I feel very honoured and we are very privileged today because we've got a wonderful guest, an amazing guest in fact. She is a round-the-world sailor. Her name is Tais Froggatt and welcome to InViewTV. How are you?
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you on board, so to speak.
Yeah, it's fantastic being here.
It's absolutely brilliant. And this setting, you couldn't beat it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my backyard. I feel really proud and honoured to be from here.
And tell us a bit more about what you do.
So I take people out sailing on Sydney Harbour. I teach people to sail. I enjoy being outdoors all the time and bringing joy and happiness to people through sailing. My journey actually started here in CYC in Rushcutters Bay.
Right here?
Yeah, about 12 years ago.
Wow.
So I started quite late. However, I just knew when I found what I loved and I was passionate about, that was it. So nothing stopping me.
Now, you said you started quite late in life. Well, relatively. I mean, you're still very young.
Yeah.
What sparked that interest?
Well, I was always an active individual. And I was always interested in travel. And I thought, well, how am I going to travel and how am I going to afford it and what's the best way to approach it? And basically I took up sailing and then found out that you could actually work and enjoy the industry. So I combined the two and here we are actually taking boats or sailing around the world or the occasional delivery. I've ended up going to 95 countries.
95 countries?
Yeah. Been to 95 countries. So
what's been the most interesting places you've been to?
Well, for one, I worked for the Volvo Ocean Race back in 2008 and 9 as shore support, and that took us to around 12 countries in total. So the most interesting places, one of them was Russia, was a stopover. Yeah. And
Not in winter, I hope.
It was the end. It was summer. It was definitely summer. Yeah, definitely. I found that the most interesting place. But what I really enjoy about yachting is not necessarily the more obscure or big capital cities, is the fact that you can go island hopping. And you can go from country to country. For example, in the Caribbean, you can start in, say, the Bermudan Islands, and then you can go to the Bahamas. Then you can go to Antigua, British Virgin Islands, all the way down to the Grenadines. It's fantastic.
The Caribbean is fantastic, isn't it? The perfect place to sail with all the islands.
Yeah, it's safe. The climate is perfect. And not only that, you can start to tick off all those countries because you go from country to country as you're sailing.
Of course, at the moment, a lot of people are a bit worried about travel. What would you say about travelling around Australia?
Absolutely support it. I love I don't know too much of the inland of Australia, but I certainly know the coast of Australia. And anyone that's maybe concerned about travelling at this point in time, I was actually going to suggest travelling within Australia and certainly even hiring a boat. It could be for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days with your family and isolating yourself in either the Whitsundays, Great Barrier Reef, Hamilton Island. There's so many places to explore and it's phenomenal by water.
Now, can you tell us a bit about the passion behind your interest in sailing?
Well, the passion really is, I guess, the people I've met, the adventurous side of it. So no 2 days has ever been the same. The water, the ocean, the weather, it's completely unpredictable. So it's not just like provisioning, dropping the lines and going off for a sail and having a glass of champagne. Sure, you can do that. But the other side is also navigation, learning about weather, learning about safety of the boat, crew morale, basically making sure that everything, as they say, excuse the pun, sails smoothly.
You know, when you go on one of your around-the-world trips, I think you've logged something like 35,000 kilometres.
That's what I think I've logged.
That's
probably
a hell of
more.
A lot. That is a lot.
Yeah.
What is the kind of preparation you have to do before you go on a big voyage?
Things like basically making sure that the boat is safe and secure, the rigging's safe. The people you're jumping on board with is so important.
Because it's very intimate, isn't it?
It can be quite confrontational. So you have to trust who you're with. Your life is very dependent on it if you're going out onto the great ocean, offshore sailing. Inshore, still you need to trust who you're with, but a day sail is very, very different to a 15-day sail or 24-day sail. The longest time I've actually been at sea was, I think, calculated as 26 days. That was from the Brazilian Amazon River all the way through to Italy.
Now, something I always ask people who love sailing is, I get terrible seasickness.
Yeah.
How do you combat it?
Well, there's a few things you can do. There's the seasick tablets. There's drinking ginger tea and lemon, or you could chew ginger biscuits. I've heard.
Ginger tea
Ginger
and lemon
tea.
and ginger biscuits.
Ginger biscuits.
My favourites.
Oh, perfect.
I'm there.
Yeah. There's another option that you can get a wristband that I think sends little pulses to your wrist. I've not personally tried it. People highly recommend it. So there are options. In fact, speaking of that, a lot of the professional sailors on the water, actually, surprisingly, many of us actually get seasick. But yet we're so passionate about the sport that we actually combat that.
Now, can you tell us some of your passions outside sailing?
Sure. So I'm also a yoga instructor.
Really?
Yes. So I teach meditation and yoga across the world, and I have classes here in Sydney, Australia. I've had 3 yoga retreats across the globe, and I've started my own business. So incorporating yoga, travel and adventure, which is very complimenting of exactly who I am and what I do.
Do you ever do yoga on the yachts?
Yes, you can. I've actually had some inquiries of people asking and saying, can we do a yoga retreat on a cruise around Greece?
Any plans?
Well, at the state of the world at the moment, maybe not, but certainly something to look for in the future.
Now, where's been your most interesting yoga retreat? Because you've been in some fascinating places.
Very good question. I hosted one in Cuba, and I actually had never been to Cuba before in my life, and I managed to sell this package. I've got 12 people to tag along with me to Cuba. I don't even speak Spanish. 12 days in Cuba with a bunch of people I didn't know.
That's a challenge.
It was a challenge, but I was very, very smart. I did a lot of research. I logistically did everything I could to make sure that it was going to run as smoothly as possible. And it was a massive success.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And what kind of people go on the yoga retreats?
The type of people, well, A, they're interested in yoga, and B, on my particular retreats, they're either interested in whether I'm selling adventure, a new country, a new destination, or again, I did a surf and yoga retreat in New Zealand in Raglan, and that was a huge success. So
Amazing.
It depends on your interests. There's a lot of work that's involved with it. It's not just logistically putting it together, marketing it, advertising it, but also, I guess, being on top of it when they're there with you at that time is giving your clients or your yogis your attention 24/7.
Now, taking us right back to sailing and yachting, what would you change about the sailing world, the yachting world?
Interesting question. Anything that I would improve with the yachting world is to encourage more women to try sailing. Now, I've had some experience with that where I found out most women think sailing, they want to go out and have a glass of champagne and just cruise and sunbathe, and that's totally fine. So do I from time to time. But what I really enjoy is being out there and enjoying the racing and getting involved as a sport. And I certainly would invite anyone here. So yeah, even starting at the CYC was a great place.
So before we wrap up, I must ask you, what's the first piece of advice you'd offer somebody who's interested in getting into sailing?
Great advice would be to not be afraid to approach your local yacht club. That could be anywhere. Just go and Google search it and find out. Maybe give them a call, or just find out when they're doing a twilight or their next gathering is. Go ahead, introduce yourself to the Commodore, and once you're there, somebody's going to invite you or take you on board.
Tais Froggatt, it's been an absolute honour speaking with you. Best
Thank
of luck
you.
with the yachting, the
Thank
sailing,
you.
and of course the yoga.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to hearing about more of your retreats in the future, and I hope you'll join us again soon back on InViewTV. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm William Brougham from InViewTV. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Of just doing what they do, hustling the likes of me and you, talking aloud at us to choose the noblest of things in life's pursuits. It goes around and around and around and around. It goes around.